Hey, beautiful souls, it's Lisa. And if you are a skeptic but curious about intuition and angels and spirituality, I have the perfect book for you. In today's video, I'm going to be reading from my first book, Opening Up: How to Develop Your Intuition and Work with Your Angels. And I'm going to be sharing chapter 1, where I talk about the reading that changed it all. So if you have my book Opening Up, feel free to open it up to page 10 and follow along with me. I'm going to read this chapter and then we're going to chat a little bit about it. It's going to be kind of like a book club, and sharing this story I know is going to impact so many of you, because I know a lot of you are like me, where you want to believe in something. Maybe you were even raised religious or in the church, and you have this connection to a bigger divine energy, but you're not quite sure what that looks like in your life. Now, that's the case for many of my clients, many of the people I speak to and work with and do workshops with and retreats with. And a lot of them are actually religiously wounded. I find many of us very wounded by the structure and the rules and the judgments and the sins that religion has really placed on our society. Many of us are looking for a more free concept where our beliefs are our beliefs. And that's what I teach. It's about finding your own faith. So follow along with me and listen in. Maybe just close your eyes, place your hands on your heart. Set aside this time so that you can really hear these words, hear a little bit about my story, and see how it resonates for you and maybe where you're at. Chapter 1, the reading that changed it all. In the fall of 2012, I was going through an emotional time, adjusting to a new life with my love Kyle in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada, a city of approximately 70,000 people located 300 kilometers southeast of Calgary. My personal life had finally come together, and my family was supportive of my move from Regina, Saskatchewan, but my professional life was a bit of a mess. I've been trying to find my place in the world and had been in about 7 jobs in as many years, always leaving for some reason or another, trying to find my fit. How many of you can relate to that? Just searching. I thought I'd discovered what I was meant to do when I got on the path to become a corporate trainer the year before, but things hadn't turned out the way that I'd hoped. I had been making the 5-hour round trip every Wednesday night for 3 months and had just finished up a week-long training course in Calgary that was one of the toughest, most humbling trials that I'd ever been through. At the end of the first 2 weeks, I was told I wasn't quite ready. I still had some things to learn. And driving home that day after failing, I couldn't understand why, but I felt a bit relieved. And hindsight shows me it's because I was taking the wrong approach to helping and inspiring people. And the universe had very different opportunities headed my way. A couple weeks later, I saw that the Natural Health and Healing Expo was once again being held in Medicine Hat, and I decided to see if I could sign up to receive a reading. I had been to the expo before, and I loved the positive energy of the vendors and attendees. I'd heard great stories about people who had received readings from some of the healers. And I tried to schedule a reading before, but everyone was always fully booked when I showed up. This time I was proactive, and I emailed a woman named Tequila Friday, yes, that's her name, who is an angelic medium from Swift Current, Saskatchewan. It was her last trade show before taking some time off to write her own books, and she wasn't feeling well and thought she might not even make it. But lucky for me, and meant to be, she emailed me a few days before the expo to tell me she'd be there and to confirm my appointment. I wasn't sure what to expect going in. I've always been intrigued by the psychic side of life, and my mom had introduced me to the television show Long Island Medium, showcasing the talented Teresa Caputo. So with this in mind, I assumed it would be a mediumship reading, and I would get to connect with my departed grandpa, my dad's dad, whom I missed dearly and still miss every day. Tequila surprised me when she told me the guardian angels around me saw that I was struggling with direction in my life. My eyes filled with tears as I wondered how she could know this truth about me. And I was blown away as she went on to tell me accurate facts about my life, my personality, and my desire to inspire and lead others. When she told me I was intuitive, I nodded my head and thought of the gut instincts I'd had that served me well. The most recent being to move to Medicine Hat to be with the love of my life, Kyle. Even without a job lined up or any idea where we'd live, of course, we found the perfect apartment and I was offered a job the day after I moved. But then Tequila went on to tell me that I was meant to do what she does, which she explained meant talking to and connecting to the angels, the divine, becoming a spiritual coach, a writer, and guiding others. I laughed and without hesitation called her crazy. She chuckled at this and explained she had only told one other woman the same thing in her many years of offering readings. And this woman had the same initial reaction, but followed her guidance and was now a certified angel therapy practitioner, working in the United States and helping others. My mind had difficulty believing Tequila as I thought about the mediums that I knew about, Teresa Caputo and John Edwards being the main ones. I had watched Crossing Over with John Edwards and found it so intriguing when I was a teenager. And Long Island Medium, as mentioned, was one of my new favorite shows. But I didn't see myself fitting in with these two remarkable healers and their colleagues. Every person I'd heard of who was a medium had been receiving and channeling messages since they were little. They saw spirits, heard voices, and felt things others didn't. I couldn't remember ever having experiences like that when I was younger. And if I wasn't born with it, how was I expected to be good at it? How does one even become a spiritual coach? Won't everyone think I'm nuts? Where do I even start? These were just some of the questions that filled my brain as Tequila continued my reading, seemingly oblivious to the chaos occurring in my mind. She told me a few other details she was sensing about my journey, including a timeline of 6 months before I'd be ready to go out on my own and offer readings, and a book that the angels were showing her that I was meant to read and study. When my reading was over, I was excited and overwhelmed and a bit flabbergasted. And Kyle, who had patiently waited for me during the reading, asked me if it was everything I'd hoped it would be. I responded, yeah, it was life-changing. I was still skeptical of what she'd said, but I felt a curiosity growing inside of me. I sensed that I'd been given an answer I didn't even know I was looking for. I asked Kyle to immediately drive me to the bookstore so I could buy the book that Tequila had been shown. I figured if the book was malarkey, I'd be out $20, could carry on. But I had to find out. That book, Angel Therapy by Doreen Virtue, opened my eyes and my heart. And I love how I mentioned the curiosity. I wrote this book over a decade ago. But that curiosity is something I still reference in my talks and in my workshops and in every session that I do with people. Because when you're working on developing your intuition, developing your own spiritual connection to the earth, to the creator, to the divine, call it what you will, curiosity is so important. You're meant to follow those nudges, those little spikes of interest that pop up in your head, sometimes seemingly out of nowhere. So that's my challenge to you. If you're stuck with me this long and you've heard all of this, I really encourage you to get curious this week. Get curious today. Think about things that you've been hearing maybe repeatedly, repeated mentions of classes or teachers or books or whatever it is that you're kind of searching for, and follow those breadcrumbs. You will be amazed at where it leads. And in my next video, I'm going to share the next chapter and continue with the story of how I really dove into some of these spiritual tools. Now, my aim for the next little while is to dive into opening up, because so many people are reaching out to me right now and saying, I feel my intuition's important. I feel like I'm called to this. I found your books or I found your YouTube and I'm not even sure where to start. And I always point people back to this book because it's where I started. And the tools in it, the practical tools in my books, you can see the spaces for notes and the questions. They're really meant to help you discover what that looks like for you on your journey. So if you haven't got your copy yet, you can get your signed copy at driverworks.ca. Right now I'm working on overhaulinglisadriver.com, so stay tuned for that launch. Make sure you subscribe below and subscribe to my newsletter list so you're the first to know when these videos come out and when I do workshops and speaking events. And I'm so excited to just share this book with you. It is such a passion project of mine. I know it's going to help you. Follow that curiosity, and until next time, we'll see you soon.